I'd like to talk about in my view, the six defining characteristics of genius, of being a genius. Now, to preference this, I believe all humans have some genius, some capacity for this, or that to say, some imagination. Genius, in short, is to create, at its essence, is to create something new. Now, these attributes are on focus, intuitive, health, track progress, non-isolation, and free association. Now, the first one, on focus. Very people focus frequently in school and other places. That's the antithesis of free association. That's the antithesis of broadening one's scope, and one must broaden one's scope if they are to have perspective. One must have perspective to be a genius. Intuitive. Intuition is a lot of times with genius, and it's very accurate. Intuition is it leads to it's a process of because this then this, but it branches off into lots of other things. It's very associated with free association. Health is necessary. Health can dramatically decrease one's intelligence if one lacks health. There's a lot of things that go in with this. There's lots of information out there about um, body chemistry, your own process, what works best for you. Um, Track progress. Tracking progress is important. Now, some people will give specific advice. They'll say, "Oh, you should write it down. Oh, you should record. You should do this and that and the other thing." That's not. None of these are accurate. You should do what is best for you, not what's best for someone else. Um, that's very important to be your own person, to follow your process, not anyone else's, because one's a little bit unique. Non-isolation. Now, we're social creatures to some degree or another. Some people don't particularly like humans. Some love humans. There's all kinds of variances in between. Some people like specific humans. But the problem is we do not get ideas just from a vacuum. So even if it's not quite ideas that we agree with, they might trigger us to an idea branch that we do agree with, or that at least is helpful. Now, free association, that's very important. It comes in different forms, I suppose, but at its essence, free association is the goal. One tries to, at some times, freely associate their thoughts with one another, just letting go where it wants to. Not all the time. That on focus is it's not a lack of focus specifically on focusing from a specific task, rather being in a place in a circumstance where free association is one's own home, one's own office. This is this is how this can flow if we combine all of these. Now, health, as I said, health is something that humans to thrive. It's very very essential. Everything else sort of comes after this in a way. In and of itself, health is more important than these because without it, we can't do any of these. We can't do as humans actually without some degree of health. The goal is not the goal is not wellness. It's sort of lack of unwellness if you think about it. So it's preemptive. It's something that we have to. We're in a world that's very toxic, and it's not good for us to just go in as we please, doing whatever we want to do. We need to take precautions. There's a lot of things out there that are very threatening. A lot of them are there because of ignorance or just lack of oversight, something, but they are there for the world as it is. And in the same way, in an intellectual environment, we must deal with the world as it is, but we must try to find enclaves where we can be ourselves, where humans can be ourselves. It's something I like to say is we must be human before anything else. Now we act. We're humans. We act, of course, but we have to ourselves before anything else. And there are some universal traits that have to do with with what makes a species. We fought. We used to fight. We used to have fight or flight, much closer to reality. We had to obey our panic urges, and that's something that is not conducive to higher thought. That's conducive to instinctual, emotionally driven thought and actions. Now, actions are important because actions are usually they're how we conduct ourselves in the world and how we ensure people do not react. They plan, at least they make the preparations, and they live in it. They try to live in an environment which allows them to be in more control over things, especially themselves. That's what being self-possessed is all about. A lot of people, they have this very limited view, in my perspective, of what higher intelligence is. They confuse spirituality with intelligence, and the two are very different. Spirituality and ideas are different. Because, well, in my first video, I talked about the 6 levels of intelligence. I don't believe there's a 7th level. Not right now. Maybe AI will become that. I don't know. But we have to define intelligence to masses is very difficult. To define it even in circles is difficult, simple, and person involved. But intelligence is at its core. It's interpretation of data. But how we interpret it is a distinction between essentially brilliance, one end of intelligence, or one path, I should say, and genius, which is the other branching path, in my view.